हेलो एवरीवन, वंस अगेन वेलकम टू दिस पॉडकास्ट। एंड आज का हमारा जो टॉपिक है दैट इज चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी इन 2023। आज की जो एज है उसमें चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी कैसी होनी चाहिए और पेरेंटिंग में चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी का क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है, ये हम इस पॉडकास्ट के अंदर देखेंगे, इस पॉडकास्ट के अंदर हम सुनेंगे। और आज की हमारी जो पेरेंटिंग एक्सपर्ट है, सी इज रिचा चतुर्वेदी, and she's MBA, and she has done her psychology, MA in psychology, and she has done a lot of other different kind of courses into the child psychology. You name any institute and she has done the child psychology related course from that institute. She is right now working with the big four, one of the big four, okay, as well as she is handling her family, as well as she is doing the child consultation and child psychology related thing, lot of consultation and consultation she is doing right now. So काफी बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है उसको, एंड बहुत सारी चीजों को उन्होंने डीप स्टडी किया है चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी में। सो लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड कि व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी इनटू टुडेज पेरेंटिंग, स्पेशली फॉर दिस एज, द न्यू एज, द ईयर 2023 जहां पे हम आज बात कर रहे हैं। So without any further delay, let's jump into the interview and let's understand what is the role of child psychology into year 2023. Thank you. Yes, so we have Miss Richa Chaturvedi, and Miss Richa is a wonderful soul, and she has a lot of insights about the child psychology, and she has done a lot of things, right? So, Richa, we would like to know a lot of things about you, as well as whatever your knowledge about the child psychology and that. Okay, so thank you very much for giving your precious time, and I know that you are a lot of you have a lot of things in your plate, even though you took a time and come to this platform. Thank you very much for the same.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Okay, so Richa, I would like to ask you that why don't you introduce yourself as well as your child psychology journey and all these things, if you can give some idea about yourself to our audience, please.
Sure. So I'm a MBA professional with 11 plus years of corporate experience. I currently am working with a big four firm in the capacity of an HR manager. But my child psychology journey started when I had my first kid. So it was a time when COVID hit. He was 3 years old, and we were all working from home. It was a huge transition, right? Going from the one day we were going to office, and the other day we were told that we have to work from home.
Yeah.
So there were no one-on-one meetings. There was everything changed into Google meetings. It changed into Zoom. So there was a little disconnect in the team members also, and then everyone was trying to prove themselves that because we were reading that people are companies are slacking people, and there are job losses. So everyone was trying to, so all that mentally took a toll. And one day my kid was just talking to me. He just came. He had something really important to tell me, which I did not find important. So I just shouted out on him. And when I did that, I saw him crying. When I looked at him, I saw him crying, as if that face, when someone is asking you, what did I do wrong, right? And he was very young. That's when it hit me, and it hit me very hard that there is a lot that's wrong with the traditional parenting and the way that we have been raised, right? Because I think maar khana, dart khana was a very common thing when we were raised. And in fact, we used to joke with our friends, teri pitai padi kya, meri to padi thi, meri to nahi padi, teri padi, kind of things. So, yeah. But then that's when I realized that, this approach needs to change. And I am a MA in psychology. So I had the background, I had the knowledge, and I think probably that's why it hit me more. So then I started working towards refreshing my knowledge and, make brushing up my knowledge, making myself up to date with all the market trends and everything. And that's when I started taking up more psychology courses and counseling courses. So I've done total of 7 to 8 courses from a lot of institutes. You name it, and I think I've done a course from that institute. It's like that now. So yeah, um, that's
Wonderful.
that.
So I believe that one moment when your child came to you and wanted to show something to you,
Yeah.
and that was the moment of revelation. You reveal exactly, you realize that what
Yeah.
exactly important, and you started to work on that
Mm.
path, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, you also mentioned that you have done around 7 to 8 child psychology related courses and all. and you are also working in a big four, or one of the big four. Okay, you are a parent. Okay, and you have the family. So I would like to know that how you can, do all these things together. It is really difficult for people to, make these things possible. मतलब वो कैसे कर पाती है आप? Can you please share something?
Okay, why not? So it might sound very cliche, but this is the reality, you know. I am very high on when it comes to managing my time.
Hmm.
Right. So I keep, if you see my desktop, I have all the notes. I have the
Hmm.
post-its, I have notes, and I'm not a person who's into very digital note making. I have a
Hmm.
diary I keep in front of me with all my important calls, all my important meetings, details of my kids' exam, and the any practical thing that's coming up in his school. I keep a track
Hmm.
of all that in that. Right.
Hmm.
And so when I'm doing one thing, I make sure I only do that thing. I don't do multitasking because then I have seen, probably it's just me, but I see then you mess up everything. Nothing reaches to the end, you know. It's
Hmm.
just you are in between of two three things, and then nothing basically happens. So when I'm doing my work, I make sure I'm doing my work, and I make sure that I wind up in time. And I'm also very clear, and thankfully my manager is such that we have a very clear understanding that, you know, if this is the time that the office gets over and this is the time that I have to wind up my work in, and after that nobody takes up the workload at home at least.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So one of the very important point you mentioned is one of my mentor also, mention every here and then that focus is your most precious
Yeah,
commodity,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's your most precious asset actually.
yeah.
Okay. तो अगर आप एक टाइम पे एक ही काम करते हैं देन यू आर एबल टू फिनिश इट परफेक्टली. अदरवाइज अगर एक साथ आप तीन चार काम करते हैं एंड प्रैक्टिकली मल्टीटास्किंग इज नॉट पॉसिबल. दैट्स व्हाट वी
Not
अंडरस्टूड.
possible, yeah, yeah. And in fact, our brain is also not made for multitasking, right?
Hmm.
But as ladies, especially as ladies, I'll say, we have a lot of habit of multitasking because we want to do a lot of things at one point of time. But
Hmm.
I don't think that that's very fruitful.
Hmm.
I've done it all, and I realize that it's not. So, you know, then at the end, you end up either winding up on your kids, or your entire frustration, you take it out on your kids because then who else? Who else will
Hmm.
listen? Not so, that's the, or your own mental peace is at a
Hmm.
stake. So I think why do that? So we have a separate routine with my kid. I have a separate routine, you know. So
Hmm.
there's 1 hour in a day that I spend with him,
Oh.
and I've told him that's the only thing I can do. But
Oh.
that 1 hour, I make sure that's the quality time we spend. No gadgets, no mobiles. Anyways, any which ways, screens are not allowed in my home.
Hmm.
No screens, no mobiles, no nothing. Just one-on-one talk. Either we indulge in some activity that we to do together, or we talk, we
Hmm.
discuss. So that's the time that we have kept together. Again, bedtime is for us is story time. So he will choose a book that he wants to read, and then I read it to him, and then we discuss about the book. You know, we discuss what he learned from the book, what did he like. So that's a little like a 15 minutes that I've kept aside. So that is how I manage.
Wonderful. So yeah, let's deep dive into the core topic of our interview. That is the child psychology. Okay. So you have done a lot of study into that.
Yeah.
तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि आपको अगर ये पूछा जाए कि भाई चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी आज हम जो देख रहे हैं और पहले जो थे, डेफिनेटली इट इज इवॉल्विंग डे बाय डे, राइट? सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंट? पहले जो था चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी को लेके क्या कंसेप्ट थे और अभी जो क्या कंसेप्ट है, पेरेंट को क्या जानना चाहिए चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी के बारे में? या कैन यू प्लीज
I
शेयर
think
समथिंग?
the major change is that nowadays people, children are not children; they are progressive adults. You know,
Oh.
and the reason is because they have a lot of they have a lot of information available to them. See, if I
Hmm.
talk about ourselves back when we were kids, there was no screen, there were no gadgets, right? And we if my mummy papa ने बोलते ये नहीं अभी बात करनी है, this is not for you. We will not even dare and ask, right?
Hmm.
So there were a lot of topics which were hushed under the rug. Nobody used to talk about it, and we didn't even come to know about it. Like, you know,
Hmm.
but nowadays these kids have a lot of information at hand. So I think they are not, you cannot call them kids now, you know, they are progressive
Hmm.
adults now because they know a lot of things. Now, how they comprehend that information totally depends on how aware you make them.
Oh.
Right. So that is why you have to explain. You have to be, you have to make sure that you are explaining that information to them in a way that is understood, in a way that's appreciable, in a way that that's respectful, rather than someone else doing it for you, which you would
Exactly.
not like. Right. So because peers nowadays, there's a lot of peer pressure in kids. Right. So you want to make sure that before they go and search someone who can, give them that information, you do it for them and they confide
Hmm.
in you, because that's the only way they'll do that. Right.
Yes.
So that is something I think is a very big change.
Hmm.
Right. And with information comes a lot of thought process.
Exactly. All the information whatever we are grabbing, हम जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन लेते हैं उसके ऊपर कोई ना कोई हम अपना बिलीफ बनाते हैं, थॉट बनाते हैं, अल्टीमेटली हम उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में लेके आते हैं, राइट? ओके।
Right.
सो आजकल के जो किड्स है, जैसे आपने बताया, उसकी मैच्योरिटी लेवल जो है पहले से काफी ज्यादा है।
Yeah.
सो इट इज नाउ आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि अगर हम उसको इन्फॉर्मेशन इतनी ज्यादा प्रोवाइड करवा रहे हैं, हम ही करवा रहे हैं,
हम ही
राइट?
कर
वी
रहे हैं।
आर वी आर इनटू दैट एनवायरनमेंट कि हम उसको प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं कि दे गेट ऑल द इन्फॉर्मेशन, राइट? एंड that's where some of the parents are also taking proud of that कि भाई मेरे बच्चे को इतना सारा आता है, right? But that is exactly a double-edged sword. That's what I
Yeah.
understood कि
Yeah.
हमें यहाँ पे देखना चाहिए कि हम अपने बच्चे को जो इन्फॉर्मेशन देते हैं उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन वो क्या करता है।
Exactly. And plus, there's a lot of information that is not censored, to be very honest. See,
Hmm.
internet is very vast and you cannot keep a track on what your child is seeing. Even if I see a lot of kids today, they are viewing shorts on YouTube or reels on Instagram.
Hmm.
The content, if you see the content, I personally, I don't think that's the content that should be consumed by a kid,
Hmm.
right? Because they don't know the context. See, any
Hmm.
context without context is useless.
Hmm.
So only when you have the context behind the content is when the content is useful.
Hmm.
So now they'll make their own thought process about it, right? So I really think that, if you're doing that, if you're giving it to, it should be monitored, strictly monitored, as far as screen time is concerned. And it's not difficult. It's
Hmm.
not difficult. And second thing is that you should be able to provide age appropriate information to your kids before they look for that information somewhere else, and then they interpret and make their own assumptions.
Okay, great. So can you share some understanding, some tips कि age appropriate information क्या होनी चाहिए? We hear this terms a lot nowadays कि age appropriate information होनी चाहिए, right? So how we can ensure कि age appropriate information ही अपने बच्चे को मिले, जैसे आपने बताया कि भाई monitoring is the one way, right? But how you manage this thing? That's what I would like to know, so that we can share this information to our parent, to our customer, that they can also apply that and implement this thing. Yeah.
See, for me, to be very honest, we don't have screens at our place.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a big no-no. Even we don't watch. So it's like a role modeling.
Hmm.
There are no TVs. There are TVs, but then there is no internet. There is no connection. So
Hmm.
it's as good as a showpiece on the wall. Plus mobile. Whenever my kid is here, I make sure that I'm not touching my mobile during that time. And even if I have to, it's very work related, and he knows.
Hmm.
It's not that we are having dinner and we are into mobiles and we're not talking to each other. So I am not sure how many will be able to do that, but what at least parents can do is set very strict timelines, right? So a
Hmm.
boundary setting is very important. What we do is we tell the kids, okay, 1 hour, I give you 1 hour, to
Hmm.
watch TV. And then after 1 hour, when we go to them, they start crying or whining. They 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more. And as parents, हमें क्या लगता है 5 ही मिनट तो है, ठीक है, चल 5 और देख ले. But now that becomes their attitude, right? Now
Hmm.
you're setting wrong expectation. Now next time, उस 5 मिनट के लिए there'll be a very big tantrum. And tantrums का problem is they just keep increasing. You will
Hmm.
never see a tantrum go down.
Yes.
They start from crying, rolling on the floor, shouting, yelling, and then saying, "Mama, you don't love me," and then everyone hates me. It can go to any level,
Hmm.
right? So even those 5 minutes is a big, big damage, and it's a big no-no, I would say. If you have
Hmm.
told them 1 hour, stick to 1 hour. Obviously, there'll be tantrums. Kids have tantrums to honge. The only thing that the parent has to do is don't get bothered by the tantrum, I think mostly it's the parents, we get triggered because of that noise. Either we are so tired. Okay, so just for all the parents out there, don't get triggered. It's okay. Let them shout, let them cry. It will come down, and you will see. You have just have to do it 4 or 5 times. The sixth time, the child knows कि ये नहीं देंगी, and there are no tantrums then. And trust me, it's a tried and tested formula. It happens.
It is as simple as that. Whatever you say, you just do it. If you
Yes.
say 5 minutes, do it for after the 6 minute, it should be closed. Right?
Yes, it should be closed. And if they are not closing it, it's okay. See, they are kids, right? But you do that. And it's okay. Let them be upset. We also get upset for a lot of things. It's okay.
Yeah, because most of the parent को ये लगता है कि मेरा बच्चा है, मतलब बहुत ज्यादा प्यार, ज्यादा मतलब वो हो जाता है कि नहीं बच्चा है, छोटा है, ये करे वो करे, बट दे आर एक्चुअली मेकिंग देम, मतलब वो वल्नरेबल बनाना पड़ेगा बच्चों को।
अभी तो वो बच्चे हैं, so they are tantrums. The moment they grow up, no, it will become a habit of manipulation. And then there's a very big difference in it, right? Because they'll know कि इस चीज को करने से ये फायदा होता है, and then you get into a habit of manipulating people. You would not want that for your kid, right?
Yes, definitely.
And plus, I'll give you a very strong statement about tantrum. Tantrum starts with the child crying and it ends up with parents crying.
Oh.
Yeah. And अभी तो आपका बच्चा रो रहा है, आपको बुरा लग रहा है, आपने हाँ कर दिया. See, I'll give you a very small example. So, if my child asks for a eraser, for example, okay, and I buy him a eraser, it's for 5 rupees. He says, "Mama, one more," and I'm like, 5 ही रुपए का तो है, ठीक है ना, ठीक है. So I'll buy one more for him, and then it becomes I'm conditioning him like that. Now, if he grows up and if he'll ask something that's for 50,000, what am I going to do? So somewhere as parents, in the starting only, you have to set up clear boundaries. And trust me, that really helps.
Okay, great. It's especially I like that statement. It's a really powerful statement.
Yeah.
Right? For tantrum right now, the kid is crying, but it will end with the parents crying. And yeah, we see a lot of this thing in the teenage. कि जब parents are not able to tackle the things and they ultimately crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have seen cases where parents come to me where teenager is not talking to them. They are sitting in a separate room and they are sending WhatsApp messages. Yeah, to that extent. Can you imagine? And I'm like, okay, what just happened here? So yeah. So that is what happens, right? When you don't control it in the starting.
And if we see this thing nowadays, teenagers are not having that much confidence. Teenagers are not that much, self-worth. They are not having that thing. And I believe this starts from the childhood. Okay,
Yes,
this
of
child
course.
starts from this thing. So how the parents can bring up the child who is very confident and very having a good self-worth? Can you suggest something?
See, I'll give you one statement. It's from Zahir Khan. Okay, he's once said that माँ बाप अपने बच्चों को पंख तो देना चाहते हैं पर उनकी उड़ान से डरते हैं.
Yeah.
We want very confident kids. We want independent kids, but we don't want to give them the power to make decisions. We don't want them to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? We want them to be dependent on us. Okay, so how do you think those kids will turn out? How will they become independent? How will they become confident? And let me give you one example. So it's as small as choosing your own dress, okay, or having your own hairstyle, or even what they want to eat in dinner. See, if you want to control, you can always play smart by giving options. This is option 1, this is option 2. You can choose anyone. The child is still making his own decision, her own decision, choosing the dress, right? It's age appropriate decision making, and they'll be confident. They'll think that their decisions are valued. But you can't just bring them a dress and say, no, you have to wear this. Itne chote decisions, if you'll not allow them to take, how do you expect them to take big life decisions?
Exactly.
They won't be able to do that, right? Age appropriate responsibility. I see people feeding a child as big as 8 years old. Why? Let them eat, no? This is something they can do themselves. Cleaning up after them. These are life skills. They have to do it. They have to learn it, right? So cleaning your place after you're done, keeping your utensils in the sink. They are very small things, but they are life skills.
Yeah.
So I see people doing it, even tying laces for that matter, 8 years, 9 years, and no, mama will do it. Why? If you want to show love, spend time with them, quality time, talk to them. I think that's the best way because, again, presence and these things don't matter to them as much as your presence matters to kids. So give them your presence. Don't do things for them. That's not love, I would say.
Yeah. And as my mentor, as well as I believe your mentor also says that, I have gone through your profile and it was, written over there. As you are doing one thing, you are doing everything in the same manner,
Of
right?
course.
So
Yeah.
अगर बच्चे पहले से ही वो कोई चीज करते हैं, ओके, और उसी तरीके से करते हैं कि भाई मुझे वो साफ करना है, मुझे जो कुछ भी मैं कर रहा हूँ उसको मुझे कंप्लीट करना है, ओके, तो वो आगे जाके उसी चीज को फॉलो करेंगे लाइफ के हर एक एक्सपेक्ट में, हर एक एरिया में.
Yes, I have this quote on my kid's bedroom in front on the wall, right in front of the bed.
Yes.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Everything.
क्योंकि
Yes.
आज आपका एटीट्यूड वैसे हो गया कि कोई बात नहीं, आज चलता है, फिर बड़ी बड़ी चीजों के लिए भी एटीट्यूड वैसे ही रहेगा कि चलता है. See, it starts from home. It starts very early, and that's how attitude building is.
And yeah, one of the point I would like to bring up here is कि जब छोटे बच्चे होते हैं तब ना पेरेंट्स उसको बोलते हैं, सारी चीजें वो खुद करवाते हैं, मतलब वो खुद ही करते हैं, आप मत करो, मैं कर दूंगी, खराब हो जाएगा, ये वो फलाना ढिमका. जब वो बड़े होता है टीनेज, एट दैट टाइम दे विल से खुद तो अपना कुछ काम किया करो, पर आपने कभी करने ही नहीं दिया पास्ट में.
Exactly. See, there's this lady who came to me saying that my girl cannot make decisions on her own. She's 15 years. I was like, 15 years is a very big age. I spoke to that girl, and then while I was speaking to her, I realized that she was never allowed to make decisions for herself.
Exactly.
Now, all of a sudden, now you want her to make decisions. See, this is not possible. You should have given her that confidence. One more thing, parents think it will create a lot of mess, you know. बाद में साफ करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, it will थोड़ा सा आपको effort लगाना पड़ेगा. I understand. We don't have time. I understand we're all tired. But that's how they learn. If you don't want to put their learning at stake, you please get up and make them clean. I do that. I ask my son, do whatever you want to do, but you will clean up your own mess. I am not doing it.
Yes.
आप spill करो खाना लेते पे, I don't mind, but you have to clean that. That's all. Okay, let them do it, right?
So whatever they start, they finish. That's what the motto is, right?
Yeah. And he has so many times he broke my crockery, my favorite crockery, and I was like, oh my God, but अब जो हो गया, you know, it's like spill milk, you can't do anything about it. The only rule that we have in our house is, if you have made a mess, you will clean it. That's it. So they know that they have to clean their mess. Even for big decisions later on, you can't blame anyone. ये मम्मा ऊपर रखा था ना, इसलिए रखा था, कोई बात नहीं, गिर गया, कोई बात नहीं, अब क्लीन कर लो.
एग्जैक्टली. तो वो जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, वो जो सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस है, वो यहीं से बिल्ड होता है एक्चुअली. I have done it and I have the power to complete it. That's what the confidence is.
And the ownership, right?
Yes. तो ये काफी मतलब बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, हर एक पेरेंट्स को अपने बच्चों को सिखाना चाहिए. द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, सेल्फ वर्थ एंड कॉन्फिडेंस. एंड यू हैव शेयर्ड द वंडरफुल इनसाइट्स अबाउट द सेम, वंडरफुल टिप्स अबाउट द सेम. थैंक यू वेरी मच, रिचा. Okay. One more thing I would like to ask that what is the importance of child psychologist into the life of the parent? मतलब parent को child psychologist के साथ counseling वगैरह करनी चाहिए, नहीं करनी चाहिए, कब जरूरत पड़ती है? Can you share something?
Sure. See, there are two things. I am a certified parent coach and I am a child psychologist. Parent coach की जरूरत कब पड़ती है? When you think that there is something you can't take care of. For example, you're not able to take care of the tantrums of your child. Now you need someone, right? So you can go approach a child parent coach. They are there to guide you, help you, and they'll let you know what exactly you can do. Plus, I will also say this on this platform here, that we see a lot of reels on Instagram of how to be a good parent. Okay, please do not fall for everything you see. Yeah. Right? Nothing, not everything you see is true. And they will only tell you the what, they will not tell you the how of it, right? So आपने एक reel देखी, आपने कहा ओहो, good parenting जब होती है, जब parents love you unconditionally and you're like, I'll be a good parent, I love my kid unconditionally. The next moment he drops a crockery, your favorite crockery, and you're like, why did you do it? और
हम्म,
सारा जेंटल पेरेंटिंग वहीं पे खत्म हो जाता है, राइट? सो
हम्म,
बिकॉज यू डोंट नो द हाउ,
हम्म,
right? So I would say ki don't fall for everything that you see, and approach a parent coach if you think that there's something you need help with. See, taking help is okay. It's okay,
हम्म,
and you should do it, I would say.
yes.
When you need a psychologist, जब आपको पता है when you're not able to tackle anything, you are not taking help, और अब चीज हाथ से बाहर निकल गई,
Oh.
then you will need a psychologist, right? Then you will
Okay.
need therapy. See, so
Okay.
I always say before going to that extent, it's better
Hmm.
that you take care of it when you see you are not able to do it, right?
It's kind
Parent
of
coach को
prevention is better than
better than
cure.
cure, right?
Exactly.
अब आप psychologist के पास अब जब जा रहे, I get cases all the time wherein especially teenagers, they're not
Hmm.
talking.
Hmm.
Their peer pressure, they're taking their substance abuse,
Hmm.
right? And those cases, they're not taking care of the personal hygiene. Cases like these, and they're not talking to parents. They don't come home for 2 days. They don't pick up the phone. And a child as young as, say, 5 years is hitting the parents, and is just hitting. And if you say anything to the child, he starts crying and then he won't eat.
Oh.
Now, ये तो हाथ से निकल गई situation. So now
Hmm.
you need a psychologist now, because that intervention will also include going down deep into the past,
Hmm.
taking history, what happened, and then letting the child, basically, telling the child what is wrong without actually telling the child what is wrong, right? So आप उनको जाके ये नहीं बोलोगे कि बेटा आप ये गलत कर रहे हो, they'll never accept. Even for parents, I would say, I
Yes.
would never go to the parents and say this is what you're doing wrong,
Hmm.
because as parents we think we are always right, and थोड़ा सा ego हो ही जाता है parents का, because and they are adults, so you can't
Hmm.
approach them that way. But you have to tell them what's wrong,
Yeah.
and there are subtle ways of doing that.
Hmm.
Generally,
Okay.
with child, we do a lot of plays,
Oh.
and while we are doing that play, we send their message across that, see, this is how it is supposed to be done, and they
Hmm.
only come up with a solution कि ये करना चाहिए था, ये ऐसे होना चाहिए था.
Exactly. And that conversation, whatever you initiate with the child, that is really important. If that
Yes.
conversation go very healthily, then child gets the idea कि क्या
Yeah.
करना चाहिए.
Yeah.
So one of the thing I learn in my child development journey is if you can initiate a good healthy conversation with your child and you can ask the question, आप उसको ही पूछो.
Hmm.
ओके, कि आपको
Yeah.
क्या लगता है, आपको क्या लगता है क्या करना चाहिए, इसका रिजल्ट क्या
Exactly.
होगा. ओके, rather than you saying ये मत करो, ये ऐसा होगा, यू आस्क ओके आपने ये किया, आपको लगता है ये करना चाहिए, what could be the result, आपको क्या लगता है और क्या कर सकते हैं, what could be the other possibilities and all. This really helps them because they feel like, oh, I am getting asked, मतलब मुझे कोई importance
Yeah.
दे रहा है. Everyone in this world, every person, whether he is a child or the adult one, anyone, they want the importance.
Of course,
Okay.
we all want appreciation, we all want importance, and you
Exactly.
very rightly put it across. That's the way you go about it. And
Hmm.
I think every parent should do it, right? They should,
Hmm.
age appropriate responsibility, age appropriate decision making, involve them in your talks, involve them in your discussions,
Hmm.
and that's how they feel connected to you.
Exactly.
And that's how you tell them what should you do, what do you think about it. So it
Hmm.
also will help them in cognitive development. So आपके
Hmm.
दो तीर, एक तीर से दो निशाने हो गए ना, so it's good for you also, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now
Yeah.
then parents don't do it, we do it, as we talk to them. And sometimes teenagers, especially because they know what's happening, they become very reluctant in sharing
Hmm.
information. So then we have to give them that comfort, that space, and
Hmm.
take it very slow, and
Hmm.
then they open up, and then that's how it works.
Right. So rather than waiting for the problems to arise in the teenage, we should address the problem into the childhood only. That's
Yeah,
what the main message is, right?
yeah, of
Okay.
course.
And मुझे लगता है this way every parent need to spend some time with their child कि उसको question पूछिए, possibilities आप उसके साथ explore कीजिए, and that can really help you out. Okay. ये सारे बहुत सारे problems से आप बच सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल, see, communication is the key.
Right.
एंड कम्युनिकेशन कैसे करते हैं पेरेंट्स? बच्चा स्कूल से आ रहा है, आज का दिन कैसा था? ओके,
Hmm.
आपने खाना खा
Hmm.
लिया? हाँ. कि स्कूल में कुछ हुआ नहीं, तो जितना आप पूछोगे यू विल गेट द रिस्पॉन्स फॉर दैट, एंड देन पेरेंट्स आर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, यार ये जवाब ही नहीं देता, ठीक है, सो ही विल नॉट, because that's the only effort you're putting. Sit with the child, spend, even if you're spending 15 minutes, make sure that those are quality 15 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. Wonderful. Yeah, with this, Richa, I would like to ask you that what is the most rewarding thing as a child psychologist, as well as you are doing so many things along with, okay? So what is the most rewarding thing you identified in your life? मतलब आप जब भी ये करती हैं, काउंसलिंग वगैरह करती है, तो आपको कौन सी सबसे ज्यादा रिवॉर्डिंग चीज लगी आपके इस करियर
See, the most, I would say there are two things. First
में?
is whenever I'm able to help a child
हम्म
and they tell me that, thank you, ma'am, because of you, I have been able to do this, or because of you, I'm able to now come out of it. It
हम्म
makes me so happy. See, these are the future, and it might sound cliche, but these are the people who really need help, because they are people who can't even speak their mind in front of their parents sometimes,
हम्म
right? Most of the teenagers who come to me, or most of the toddlers who come to me, उनको ये तो parents को they don't know what to do, or either the teenagers are, they are not heard, they don't
हम्म
feel heard, they don't feel
हम्म
seen. So I think nobody should go through that. So I really
हम्म
feel very happy when I'm able to help them, when
हम्म
I'm able to sort their problem. And the second thing that it has helped me is with my kids.
Oh, yes.
So it has helped me a lot in raising my kid. So I see, when I see him taking his own decisions, he tells me, Mama, no, I don't think it should be done like this. I think ये ऐसे कर लेते हैं.
हम्म
So the way we are conditioned, we'll think that ये तो argue हो गया.
हाँ, right.
बड़ों की बात तो सुननी चाहिए ना, ये तो argue हो गया. But see, this is not argue, as like we are discussing, they are also discussing with us.
हम्म
He's a separate human being altogether.
Yes.
So he will have his own perceptions. He will have his, and I've clearly told him that we can, whatever the thought is, we can always sit and talk.
हम्म
Always. So we talk, and he tells me, I did not like that. I did not, and it's good. I feel good when he does that.
वंडरफुल एंड दैट रियली मेक सेंस कि जब भी आप किसी के लिए कुछ करते हैं तो आपके लिए ऑटोमेटिकली कुछ अच्छा होता है दैट्स व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपनिंग विद यू ग्रेट एंड या अगर आपको रिवॉर्ड्स मिल रहे हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं पे चैलेंजेस भी आती होगी एज ए चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजिस्ट एज ए टीनेज साइकोलॉजिस्ट आल्सो सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ चैलेंजेस डू यू फील कि जो आपको लगता है कि ये चैलेंज मुझे बार बार फेस हो रही है एंड आई वुड लाइक टू रियली हैव अ फर्स्ट हैंड सॉल्यूशन ऑफ इट कैन यू शेयर
Yeah, you see, the biggest challenge that I've faced is with parents, I would say, rather than kids.
Oh.
Because बच्चे को एक बार I told them कि, so I'll give you an example. There was this kid who came with a lot of anger issue.
Mm-hmm.
He was 5.5, 6 years old, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of anger issues, right? He did not realize what he was doing while he was angry, and he could go to any heights, even self-harming.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's how his parents used to feel scared. And abhi pura control was in the hand of the kid, of the kid. Sorry. So I told him, I spoke to him. I took 4 sessions, 5 sessions, and in the sixth, I told him that there is this box. There was this activity that we did, and we said I told him, whenever you feel angry, this is what you have to do. Okay, and we'll see how much you are able to control it. And then we made a point chart, and I did a lot of stuff. And then I told his parents, see, this is the plan. This is what you have to do. Now, once he goes home, it's in your hands. In the next session, the parents come back saying that we were not able to do anything. So, was for the entire week when the child was there, all the explanation that I did with the child, all the therapy that I did with the child just went for a toss. So it was a waste.
Okay.
So, and then they cry, and then they say कि अब की बार करेंगे, but next time also the same thing happens. Sometimes parents think that when you're trying to correct them or tell them, see, sir, this is how it is now, even if you have a girl child, you shouldn't suppress her like this. Trauma हो जाएगा, depression हो जाएगा, ठीक है? They're like, no, no, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, ये सब बनाए हुए words हैं.
Oh.
So that's when, and there are times when I try it very hard to convince the father or to convince the mother. But there are times when I see that, you make out that this person will not understand. He is so conditioned and so strongly conditioned that he'll not understand. So there are times when for those things I tell them that I really can't help you now.
हाँ,
So
मतलब वो समझना ही नहीं चाहते
नहीं
हैं,
चाहते आप,
दे आर
हाँ.
इनटू दैट बॉक्स कि भाई ये बस ऐसा ही है.
And explaining them, you keep explaining them. If you're not coming to therapy with an open mind, because it's not your therapy, it's your daughter's therapy or your
Exactly.
son's therapy. So at least as a parent, you should have an open mind because you are the one who will help them. पर आप ही क्लोज माइंड से आएंगे अगर, एंड इन स्पाइट ऑफ मी गिविंग यू द हार्म, गिविंग यू द एग्जांपल्स, टेलिंग यू एवरीथिंग, द स्टैट्स, द डेटा, and making you understand, showing you result also in terms of how your daughter was behaving or son was behaving and now they are behaving, there's a change, you can see that. But even in spite of that, you don't want to put in efforts, then you really can't help those people.
They feel like if they pay some kind of consultation charge and all, then you can make some kind of magic trick to
And
make
even
them.
they think हम भी तो ऐसे ही हुए थे, हमें तो कुछ नहीं हुआ, फिर हमें तो हम, but trust me, I feel like, trust me, those people are also suffering from anxiety. I see them talking, and I can see that they are so anxious, right? But they will not accept it. Now, for those people, you can't really help. So I feel bad for those children.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Honestly speaking, what I feel is the problems is not with the child actually. The problem is
yeah,
all about two things. One is how parents behave, and second is the environment the child is in. Okay. अगर ये दो चीजों को पहले से ही आप टेकल कर लेते हो, तो बाकी की चीजें is just a piece of cake, I believe, right?
it's never the child. I
Yeah.
tell all the parents, it's never the child. See, they come to the world, they don't know anything. We condition them, we tell them things. They see the environment in our house, they see people behaving, they see father misbehaving with mother, or they see the mother not respecting the father. So this is something that they see, the values at home, the environment at home, how people are talking to each other. And it's a monkey you see, monkey does. That's how it
Exactly.
is.
Wonderful, Richa. So we are having a really good and deep conversation about the child psychology and how the parenting goes in 2023 right now. With this, I would like to conclude the session. But before this, I would ask you that if you would suggest any kind of book or the podcast or something to our viewers and listeners कि अगर वो कुछ भी जानना चाहते हैं deeply, okay, so which book you would suggest?
There's one book which is called The Parenting Map by
Okay.
Shefali.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one book that everyone should really, really read.
Okay.
Then there's another book which is called How to Talk So the Kids Can Listen.
Oh.
That's also a very deep book. I think everyone should read that book. There's one more, I think it's with me. I can show you as well.
Yeah.
This is Between the Parent and the Child. This is a book that's really, really, like, it'll give you insights into a lot of things which we think are small, but they are really deep and they're very big, they're strong. So those are the things that these three books I think parents should definitely read.
Wonderful. And yeah, Richa, with this, I would like to, be grateful to you that you came to this platform. And before we closing, if any of our viewers or listeners would like to reach out to you, तो वो कैसे आपको कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं? If you can share your Instagram handle or anything, then it would be great.
Sure, they can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Raising Little Hearts with Richa.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so thank you very much, Richa, and keep in touch with us, and definitely we would be, arranging more session with you. It was really deep and insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.